Ron Goodall, FightHype.com. I'm here with my man Fareed Samad. How's it going?
It's going well, man. Yourself?
Good, good. You know, obviously I had to get you on here on FightHype. You know, there's so many things I want to talk to you about. But first things first, you know, how's everything with the camp and everybody that you've been working with?
Camp is going well. We are busy and productive. There's a difference between just being busy and not productive. We have a lot of things going on. I think that you will see me or you'll see my squad at least 20 times this year on some type of TV or pay-per-view or something.
You know, with the huge camp of people that you've been working with in and out, who's some of the people that you've been in 2024 will be seeing you in the corner with?
You'll see me with Antonio Zapata. He's the first one up. He's February 8th. You'll see me with Jahan Ingram. You will see me with Jerzen Vargas. I just call him JC for short, but JC, which is a killer gorilla. You'll see me with him. You'll see me with Curmel, Moton. I got like a lot of kids, man. 22, 23, 19, 17-year-old. You'll see me a lot this year.
You know, digging into your background for some of the fight fans that don't know much about you, what can you tell them? How'd you get into boxing? How'd you get into this whole encyclopedia of knowledge that you have of the game?
All right, I got into it from basketball. Basketball is my favorite sport. Well, was my favorite sport. Still is kinda, but I can say I gravitated to boxing. But basketball was what I learned everything, the fundamentals, how to coach, how to get taught. And basketball got me into a lot of altercations, and what got me into boxing.
You know, from that journey, you know, you've done some amateur work as well as
Yes.
in amateur boxing.
Yes, sir.
You know, can you talk a little bit about your boxing career and how, you know, it transpired and got into your life?
So basketball was my favorite sport. I thought I was going to go to Georgetown. I thought actually Georgetown was an all-black college, but it turned out it wasn't. But still, not knowing as much. Then I got into boxing. Boxing really suited me. It was like an individual sport, not individual effort, individual sport. So I got into boxing, and then I went into the Army. I used to watch the Armed Forces on TV, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. I saw the black and gold uniforms that the Army had, and I was like, oh man, I want to do that. So I wound up going in the Army and accomplished my mission because I was an all-Army, Armed Forces champion, wound up being a national champion, traveling all over the world, and I got a chance to box, and then I got into coaching. I got into doing something that I love, and now here I am.
Do you feel between actually boxing and coaching that you found one more than the other more like enjoyable, or you know?
Man, well, it's satisfying to teach something and then have somebody display what you taught. That's really, really gratification on that. But I like the competition of me, and I'm trying to think if I could do it all over again, like which one would I choose? If with the knowledge I have, I don't know, the competitiveness of me boxing is one of a kind.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I love them both though, you know. But you don't take that, you know, I don't take no punches. I just, you know, so.
Defense first, right?
Yeah, but I don't take no punches now, no matter what happens. You know what I'm saying? So.
Now, one of the people that you mentioned that you're working with has gotten a lot of attention. It's Curmel.
Yes.
With a big roster of people that you're working with. How did you and Curmel link up? Just from
from his dad, Curtis. Curtis Moton is a good trainer. He's a good mentor. He teaches his son. He's the one that set me up. He saw me teaching a guy that was like not as good as Curmel, but teaching him fundamentals and stuff. And then he was like, "Man, look what he's teaching. Look what he's telling him. You know, you need somebody like that around you." So he actually put this team together too. So I have to give him a shout out, Curtis. Curtis the one put this team together as far as boxing, because when I got Curmel, last year's the time I had no fighters, maybe one. Now I have 6, maybe 7. So, but Curtis is the one put this team together, slowly but surely. Like Jahan was Jahan and Curmel were really, really cool. They kept talking. They were talking all the time. And Jahan, sharp guy, good puncher, could knock a lot of guys out, but his defense lacked a lot of attention. And Curtis is the one that's like, man, you gotta get with him. You gotta start talking to him about his defense. He's like, with the stuff you teaching Curmel, if you could teach him, this guy will be really, really good. And we need a really good team. So he's the one who built the team. And then I wound up training Jahan one day, and then JC came along, and then Antonio, he saw what I was doing. He was like, I need a trainer too, so he wound up, they wound up coming over. So.
And prior to this, you worked with people like Tony Harrison and Danny Jacobs.
Yes.
I've seen.
Yes.
Who else have you worked with professionally? Just
Zab Judah. So it's ironic because 1996, I was alternate Olympic team, all right, and we traveled 3 or 4 months together. So we actually had 2 teams, which is like an A side and a B side, but we still had 2 teams. They were all the same weight classes. But at the end, the last 4 weeks of camp, we only had 3 guys, which was Zab Judah, DeVarrell Williamson, and I. And I wound up coaching both of those guys in the professional ranking. DeVarrell Williamson, we used to call touch of sleep. He was a cruiserweight. He was really a heavyweight, actually 201 pound, which is really a cruiserweight, but he wanted to fight heavyweight all the time. He had a really good record, I think like 26-5 or something like that. But he had a lot of knockouts, and I wound up training him first. He was my first guy I started training, and then I wound up training. Years later, I trained Zab. So I actually trained both of those guys, and we got together, and we did our thing. We did what we did. So
very, very humble response. I just but I love it. I love it.
It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. I was hype about training both of them because you wind up training. I was hype about it, but it was like something I if I look back on, I wouldn't have done again because they were both my friends. I knew them guys. I boxed with them. Then you wind up becoming their trainer, and it just really didn't mix. You know what I'm saying? So, when you do split, you split kind of in a bad way or whatever the case is. So,
But, at the end of the day, things keep going on.
Yeah. I learned. I grew from that. From the Zab Judah situation, I wound up training Lamar Odom. I wound up training Devin Haney for a couple of fights. His first, 3 pro fights, I trained him. Trained Devin Haney. I trained him. And that got me looks on other people because I trained Zab during the Pacquiao camp. So Floyd knew me and everybody knew me anyway because we all were together. But I got a chance to get over there and display my skills where other people started to say, oh man, this really guy really know what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? Like pulling me over like, hey man, you should coach my guy. Whatever. So.
Seeing that you've been around a lot of these great fighters from the past that I got to grow up watching and the Olympic team that you've been on.
Yes.
When it comes to the fighters that you're working with and not just singling Curmel out, but do you see stuff special in the camp of fighters that you're working with, comparable?
Now?
Yep, that you can see in the future? Because you mentioned Devin and Zab and being around other world champions.
Right now, I actually have, like I told you, I got all kids, which to me, they're kids, you know what I'm saying? But I got guys that's really willing to be like a sponge and absorb the knowledge that I'm showing them. Like I actually show them, you know what I'm saying? Then I say, oh man, I see a video of a professional fighter or a person that's in the Hall of Fame. I say, look, this is the same thing I was telling you. You know what I'm saying? This is the move. Look at it. I'm trying to tell you, this is not a lie. I'm not a person that. Also, they respect me too because they know I've done it. You know what I'm saying? Anything that I tell them to do, I actually show them. So I say, oh, do it this way, do it that way, and I show them. They say, oh, okay. So, but this group of guys I got now is really, really cool because I get a chance to teach every day, and I get a chance to realize that life is short and there's no tomorrow. So every day I wake up like it's my first day of work. So I wind up trying to give them guys something to where it's I ain't get lazy on them to where it's I already got this guy, you know what I'm saying? I'm the man with this guy. And then, you lose your job or you lose your position because you're thinking that, this is what's going on.
Yeah. Going into your career, who's some of the people that you got to spar with yourself, people that you got to work with, and just your own ring stories?
So I wound up helping Keith Mullins. Keith Mullins fought Terry Norris. Remember I told you to buy boxing encyclopedia. But Keith Mullins fought Terry Norris. He wound up winning the title from Terry Norris. And Terry Norris was orthodox, but Keith Mullins would spar me all the time and use me in North Carolina because even though I was southpaw, but he needed that. He said I still could punch and I had I could box, so he's he needed that. So back in the day, we didn't care about who he sparred. Oh, he's left-handed, right-handed. We got to work in. So that's what I'm trying to get these guys to understand too, though. Is work, especially the best work is free work. So if somebody coming to spar you and they gonna do it for free, you get that work in and then you adjust and you work from there. Because you never know what the fighter's gonna do the night of the fight. He could turn southpaw for a second and then you're screwed. Something like that. So so Keith Mullins, which wound up being WBA champion. Fernando Vargas, which we wind up, I helped him for a southpaw. He had called me himself and asked me to give him some help because we actually fought in the trials and we fought before. So he asked me to come help him. Zab Judah, I wound up sparring Zab for we were in camp together. Shucks. I sparred, man, in Don King's camp, I sparred like 2 undefeated fighters. I was like 5-0. I was sparring guys like it was 20-0, 21-0. So I just got a chance to spar and work with everybody. Oh, Washington, D.C. I lived in D.C. for 3 years. So everybody from D.C. knows me. I still have a 202 area code. I wound up becoming a D.C. member because I wound up sparring Teddy Reed, Jimmy Lang. Everybody from D.C. wound up sparring me. So, and they just thought that I was just that nonchalant guy. But when I get in the ring with them.
Those are the most dangerous ones.
Yeah. I put it on quite a few guys where they was like, yo, you one of us. So, yeah, D.C., I had a great time.
Now, going back to your knowledge of being around, like, the best fighters of your era, being on the best American, fighters team, the Olympics, a lot of those sparring stories and things like that are very, like, mythical, and they come out, like, now, how we're talking about what you've done.
Yeah.
Without revealing too much, but there's been like Curmel has been like sparring world champions now, like Topalis, and seeing that Topalis had a valid effort against Inoue. What is that like? When you see that performance, that Inoue and Topalis, and then seeing Curmel spar
those guys.
Yeah,
how does sparring is just practice, but it rates you on the scale of 1 to 10 or where you are. You know what I'm saying? Because, one time or twice could be like a fluke, but then you see 3, 4, or 5 times of sparring, you say, okay, this kid got something. This kid has, has what it takes, and he can do more. But watching him is like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got something going on there. Same thing with John Ingram, too. He's a puncher. Like, he's knocked a couple guys out. But let me go back to when you talk about boxing. So when I was on alternate Olympic team in '96, we fought against Germany. I think I stopped Germany, but we fought against Germany. And we fought against Germany. A guy saw me sparring and was like, oh, man, you know what you're doing? Wilfredo Rivera's fighting Pernell Whitaker. This was the second time. They got a draw the first time. He said, we're fighting Pernell Whitaker. We want you to go to Puerto Rico. And this guy, they was like, since you're an amateur, we're going to put you at the end. We only let you spar 4 rounds, maybe 5 rounds, but you're going to spar at the end. So that's what made me turn pro, because I whipped on Wilfredo Rivera. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, I came on the back end. No, I was just going to tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? And it's just sparring. Maybe in a fight it could be different or whatever. I don't think so. But in sparring, I would spar on the back end. So I would spar last. And then I sparred second. And then we went head to head. And I sparred him head to head like 3 or 4 times. And I got over to where I was like, yeah, I could turn pro. Like, I knew I had more of a pro style, but I was like, this guy's #1 in the world, about to fight Pernell Whitaker second time. I was like, oh man, I know I'll do wonders at a pro. And that's what made me like turn, because David Sample was there too. That's the time I got a chance to meet David Sample for the first time. We've been friends ever since. King David, that's his name now, but it was David Sample at the time when he boxed Miguel and Gael Gonzalez. So I was like, oh man, I know, I can make a good pro, because I was putting it on him.
You made a comment earlier when we were talking to Sign about like how the Don King era. You know, I know perception-wise, media could look at it like who's treating fighters X, Y, and Z. I mean, you sound like your experience was a lot different being around.
Well, so I went to camp, one of Don King's camp. He had Chop Chop at the time, the Marcus Corley, Chop Chop. So, and I was in D.C. at the time, so I wound up linking up with him. He was in the amateurs with me at 39, then he moved down to 35. So I wound up linking up with him, and I wound up training with him and his coach, who's passed away, Freddie Roach, not Roach, but his name was Coach Roach. Really good dude. He passed away. Anthony Roach was his name. So he wound up passing away, but that was a long time. Recently he passed away, but we wound up training, and we wound up going to Don King's camp. But as far as the way that treating women wise, I've been to a lot of different promotions as far as like, as on the B side or A side, whatever the case is. I've been with a lot of promotions, but their promotions, Don King, he has it laid out for you. from start to finish. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Making sure that the medicals was on time, make sure everything was right. They were like on it. As soon as you got there, as soon as you arrived, you signed a piece of paperwork, they gave you money. You know what I'm saying? Gave you money for per diem, saying, hey, this is your money.
And this is
Nice.
comparing to like things now, how
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
This was recently. This was I helped Lyda Rhodes in a fight recently. I think it was like last year, because of course it's like.
And like in Miami?
Yep, in Florida. Yeah, I helped him, and this is how we got treated. So I'm just saying, like, but I've actually worked under there for 2 fights. When Wilder fought Bermain, I worked that fight here, and Bermain wound up having liver all jacked up, and then he had to stay in the hospital, so they wound up keeping me in the hotel, which I lived right down the street, but they was like, no, you have to stay in the hotel because you got to stay close to the team because something happens, and we wanted to be there. But so far as treating you wise, it was laid out. I've never been under any promotions that treated me better. Let me just say that. So far.
Okay.
So far.
Well, I mean, that's, you know, like I said, coming from the horse's mouth.
And and I've been cornering. DeVarrell Williamson was the first guy I ever cornered. That might have been, he fought for the NABF title. You have to look it up. And that might have been 2007 or 2008. So I'm just telling you you know, like I've been around.
Yeah.
You know, I boxed, don't get me wrong, like 96, whatever, this and that. But I'm saying maybe 2007, 6, maybe 8, down that era. That's when I trained him for the NABF heavyweight title. So, yeah, I'm talking about that treatment has been going on from there to there. So.
Maybe that's that veteran from Don. Don got that veteran, knows how to do it, right?
Yeah.